Uh, First of all, thanks for inviting me here. I'm really honored to be here. It's a very different topic. Hopefully, you'll find something interesting here. I try to put together my thoughts on this subject. So we'll go over that. It's a short, interesting presentation, and would invite any questions that you may have at the end. So the thing that I want to talk about is because what we are doing is actually in the field of arts. Interior designing is a beautiful thing. You like something which is beautiful, beautiful homes, beautiful curtains, sofas. So we are in the field of art in a sense, but we are actually doing it using heavy technology. So I think it's an apt topic that I can share my views on how we can use technology to bring arts and science together. So that's what we will talk about. So first of all, let's just quickly go through what we understand from, what is art, so I just picked up this thing from Wikipedia, for example. So art is basically a range of activities, essentially, which involve creativity, beauty, interpretation, imagination, right? These things are usually very difficult to reproduce. They are very unique, right? They're very difficult to reproduce. You need a skilled artist to actually reproduce something like that. Or they also involve interpretation. For example, this M.F. Hussain painting on the extreme right, it's an abstract form. You need, like they say, the beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, right? So you need some sort of interpretation skills as well to figure out that, yeah, this is something really good or beautiful, right? And that's why it's very different, because it's not easily reproducible every time. Even the same painter cannot probably produce the same thing again. That's why it's very different from something that we know as science, which is actually about explanations, about predictions, and things which are usually very verifiable. So science actually works on the principle of verifiability, testability. Each time you can verify that yes, whatever some scientist has said is true, because you can verify in an experimental lab, and they're very predictable. Every time you fly, hopefully plane always takes off, the computer always works, right? So these are very predictable in nature, right? And anybody can reproduce. I don't have to be an artist to reproduce. Science, if I know the method and I know the principle and I have the right equipments, I can reproduce the same thing. I don't need to be an M.F. Hussain or whatever. Now, technology is just a method or a skill of producing goods or services. So we will now see how we can have technology use something and have, that's what we are dabbling with. We are trying to use technology to create something which is actually very artistic, but in a very reproducible and scientific fashion. So this is why art is very difficult to reproduce, because it depends on the imagination. Now, that's how I see it, which is what the whole ecosystem is working towards. The top things that you see there, except for the red one, I don't think there is any computer program that can replace imagination. But barring the imagination, the adaptability to change or the pattern recognition is the area that artificial intelligence kind of dabbles with in some sense. And we'll see, we are also using some of that in what we are doing. I'll talk more about that. Of course, the remainder can be very easily solved with the help of technology. The rules, too many variables, permutation combinations, generating those, and also the method of this. So this is an example, computozer.com, where actually you generate music just by program. So I have it here, but I'm not sure if I can I have a mic or something which I can just probably play a little bit and I can just show you what, while it comes, I'll talk about something else. So we saw an example where the music was generated not by a musician, but by a computer program. Here are some examples of beautiful artists who have created something which is phenomenal. This is a Swiss artist who uses science and technology to produce this art. Now, if you look at this beautiful piece of thing, this is actually very akin to a modern art, but essentially it's produced using a ferroliquid, a few drops of ferroliquid which has iron in it, placed on top of a magnet. So the black boundaries that you see are nothing but ferroliquid. They are organized because they have iron attached to the magnet behind. And you drop a plain watercolor, water-based color into it, and it kind of forms this particular pattern. This is another example where the science has been used to create an art. Yeah. What you see here is basically you put a particle powder, colored powder, on top of a speaker, a heavy speaker. When speaker vibrates because of sounds, it kind of produces certain motions, and that is what he captures using a high definition camera. So there are many experiments. This is a typical eating ball. Okay, maybe I can't play it, but I think, you know, so essentially what I was trying to say was, I was trying to give you some examples of certain magic tricks where people use certain scientist principles. So this is knows that he's using a misdirection, and he's very sure that you are not going to focus on the hand at which, you know, with which he's doing the trick. And he knows that by using misdirection, he will actually, you know, kind of give illusion of disappearing balls. That's another trick that we have. This is a classic example. It's from a psychology lab. Again, I can't play it, so probably I'll skip it. But you can do a YouTube and you can check out. This is a monkey business. It's a gorilla experiment. Many of you would have seen it. So essentially, the professor asks you to count how many times between a team of a black shirt and a white shirt people, identify how many times the white team actually passed the basketball to each other. So if I were to play with you, you would be actually looking at that and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 16 times the white T-shirt guys actually passed on the basketball. You will say 15, you will say 16, and that's what will happen, right? But at the end of it, then he'll ask you another question. Did you notice the gorilla? And you would realize that actually nobody noticed the gorilla, because you all were focused on counting the number of times the white T-shirt guys actually passed the ball. And when you rewind and replay it, you will see that there is a gorilla dancing in between like this, right in front of your eyes, and no one actually noticed it, right? So this is a classic psychological principle of misdirection, which magicians often use. And so essentially the point I'm trying to say is that art also has been very heavily, now trying to use technology and principles which are very predictable, right? And which is what we are doing at Foyer.com, and I'll talk about some of the things. So if one could bridge the gap between art and science, then art will become very predictable, reproducible. Everybody could become a M.F. Hussain, or everybody could become A.R. Rahman. Which is what our vision is at Foyer. We want everyone to become an interior designer. Using our website, you could pretty much create stunning foyers like these, or beautiful drawing rooms like these, or bedrooms like these. So before I tell you how we are doing it, I just wanted to quickly introduce what it takes to be an interior designer. Essentially, interior designer, if you were to hire one, she would do 5 things for you. Of course, gather the requirements, do space planning, concept designing, detail designing, and then helping you source those items. Now, what we can do using technology, this is what we are doing at Foyer, except for the items in the red, which are very human dependent, which is requirements gathering and understanding the unsaid part of the requirements, and except for imagination, which is the concept, and I'll give you an example of a concept as well. Except for the imaginative part of the concept, we believe that technology can do all the other things, and we are already doing it. For example, I'll give you some examples of space planning and furniture layout using something that we have created and patented called IntelliSuggest Rules Engine, which helps in space planning, and it's a very advanced form of a rules engine that we use to do that, right? The other thing is visualization. that you keep trying various things until blue and mustard start looking good, and you see it for yourself, and it all happens on your browser or on your mobile phone or whatever device you have it. So we think the visualization can source that part. And from sourcing perspective, all the items that you see that you're playing with are all real from your local city. So the new poster bed that you really liked behind the blue wallpaper, both are available in Baroda next to your house. So it is always real, it is always implementable, and you can see the instant prices of all of them. And therefore, we are helping in sourcing of products and services as well. So this is one example of some of the rules that our IntelliSuggest rules engine actually handles. So if you look at this bedroom designing, it's a very bad design where you can see there is a bed there, and opposite to bed there is a mirror wardrobe, yeah, and the reflection of the bed is on the mirror wardrobe, so that the guy sitting in the dining room or outside living room can easily see what's happening inside the bedroom. So it's supposed to be a bad design according to the privacy rule. We call it a privacy rule. And this is something that we can today check on Foyer.com. If you try to move your bed around and put it in front of anything which has mirror, it kind of spots that and tells you that, look, this is probably not a good design. You shouldn't really do this. Another example is a flow and this place, whether the space is enough or not. Again, it's a bad design because there is not 3 feet between the wardrobe and the bed, or the dress and the bed. There is between two objects, and the kind of object that you have, you need to have a minimum space so that you can open the wardrobe and you can actually do the function for which that object is made for. We can very much check whether that is actually breaking or not breaking using technology. And we do it by something we have devised called as IDEAL. It's interiors definition language, where everything about the room is stored in a very simple text form, XML or JSON or whatever we call it, right? And because we have the data, we can actually just run a simple program to actually see that the distance between the mirror and the bed is less than 3 feet. Therefore, we can actually tell you this is not really going to fly. Something that we can't do. So concept designing is another thing that probably computers cannot do today. Now look at this beautiful concept created for a bungalow by an architect. Now this concept has the entrance lobby as aqua theme, which is more like water. And then the courtyard is on the moon theme, and the living space is on the earth theme, right? Now this is an imagination that the whole house I will build like these, these things, and moon, earth, and these objects. Now this is a part of imagination which is probably difficult for a computer to do today, and translate it into hand sketches and translate it into a beautiful final designs like these. So this is the aqua theme entrance lobby. This is actually the living room, which has earthen, woody, and natural palette colors. This is something that we are not attempting to do, and we think it's very difficult to do at this thing. But what we can do is, for example, attributes-based filters. Color is used heavily for interior designing, and color wheel and the color theories are heavily used. Basically, the color wheel is nothing but mixing of primary colors give you secondary colors. So if you mix red and blue, which are in the bold primary color, you get the violet, which is the secondary color there, and so on and so forth, right? Now, in interior designing, we use lots of color theorems and designings based on colors. So you can have primary color scheme or analogous color scheme. Here are some examples. This is an example of an analogous color scheme, where all objects that you see are adjacent to each other in the color wheel. Yeah. So you have orange, yellow, and things like that. This is an example of a primary color scheme where you have primary colors. This is an example of a complementary color. So the violet and the yellow are opposite to each other on the color wheel, and you see on the left side that's a complementary color scheme. And each color schemes actually bring out a feeling, and it's actually pretty much standard in a lot of ways, right? So what we can do is, if you ask our software what type of mood you want your bedroom to reflect, right? If your answer is I want fresh and bright, so we can pop up a kind of a fresh and bright yellow kind of a color scheme for you. Or if the answer is I want peace, smart, sky, and a feeling of tranquility, then I can pop out a blue color and a mix of blue and white. Or if passion and love, then I can do black and red for you. So I think what we can do and what we are trying to do is to actually bring together certain attributes related to designs. And that is what we can do, though we can't really do a concept for you, but we can help you quickly get. Once you pick a template, we think that technology can help a lot in visualization. So this is on the left side is a template that has been picked. You click that template and you can pretty much change everything that you like and you don't like. So you don't like the wallpaper. So I have traced the journey, which is started from a template on the top left corner. And in 3-4 minutes, you've completely changed the room to look like what it looks in the bottom. So from a Nordic and a Spanish kind of a theme, you have come down to an Indian kind of a theme on the bottom left. And this all can be done using the visualization technology. Click, change, and rest software can do for you instantly on the browser or whatever. So this is another area where we think technology can bring together. How do you make decisions about things which are beautiful? I think the best thing to do is you see for yourself, right? So we have a feature called see this in your room. So this is your room on a mobile phone. You can pick furniture from your city and you can click to see them in your room, real life, to make a decision whether this will look good or that will look good. So in sense, we think that we are actually making art more scientific by reliably bringing out feelings from the designs, because we know that through heuristics or otherwise, these designs bring out these feelings. And you can reproduce the designs across devices, just have to pass a simple text in form of an ideal, and your mobile or your browser can reproduce the same design using the visualization technology. And every time it will follow the rules of space planning or furniture layout or whatever you're having. So essentially, that is how we think that technology can bring the two different poles apart together and make art a little bit more scientific. That's all. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to have any questions that you have. So as they say, either it was very clear or everything was over the head. Yeah, I'll repeat the question.
Your software also learning what they are doing and picking the best from what they do and sharing it with others?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, at the heart of your business model.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually a very early stage startup. I wish I was as successful as Snapdeal was, and I could afford 1,600 engineers. I could do some of those. Unfortunately, I have only 16 engineers, and we have but I think that's the intent and that's the idea. But we have a lot to cover on this side and then on the business side as well. So yes, at some point in time it should, but right now it doesn't. Yeah, right now it doesn't learn anything from the user behaviors, though it learns on the rules side of it. So on the rules side of it, we do learn, but that's more fed into the system by the experts, but it is not really closing the loop with the feedback by the user behaviors and updating the rules automatically and things like that. No, it doesn't. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think we receive a lot of calls. We think our software is a little bit more complex, little bit ahead of time for India. Make it very simple. Still, it is not simple enough for a normal housewife to interact with it. So we do receive a lot of calls, and that's part of our own journey of evolution. We've just launched version 1, and our journey is to how to continuously make even more and more simpler while retaining the core benefits of it. So right now we do receive a reasonable number of calls. There are times when people, in India, probably people who don't even want to do this much, right? So they just call and say, can you design a room like this for me? Or they send an existing photograph of their house or their existing sofa and furnitures, and they say, now you design around this. And we are happy to do all of that because we get consumer traction and so on and so forth. So yeah, we do get some calls like that. I think both the questions are, I can call it telepathy or planted questions. I don't know, whatever it is, but both the questions are same. How do you generate money and what's the revenue model? Yeah. So essentially, revenue model, I think we were discussing earlier. Revenue model in India is very simple. You always charge the vendors. So being a vendor, and I hope we don't have too many vendors here. Being a vendor is not a very good thing. But yeah, the revenue model is we give this beautiful design and inspirations and tools so that we attract customers. And you play with real life sofas which are available in Baroda city, and we tell you once you like it, you make a decision. So this is a discovery and a decision making place. Discovery happens here. Where is my blue leather sofa in Baroda city? Currently you have no way but to take the car out, go store to store, if you're looking for a blue leather sofa in city. And we are in some sense a lot of anti-e-commerce, so Amitava hates me for that. I would hate to do it, click a button and get me a leather sofa at my home. So it's an experience. Families go out, men and women together do it, and there is a involved experience. It's not a standard, I read the description of Samsung Galaxy Note and I'm happy it's 3,000 rupees less than Chroma and buy it there. It doesn't work like that. It works, e-commerce works beautifully in standard products. Local commerce works beautifully in a high involvement non-standard products, which is what we are dealing with. So we are anti-e-commerce. So you discover and make sure that this is where is the blue leather sofa in my city? How does it look in my room? You have made the decision on our site. Now you go to Vijay Sofa in whatever Rajiv Chowk in Baroda and actually buy there. And we get the commission once you buy from there. Or you take a beautiful look and you say, I want this look, and you book XYZ interior designer from Baroda who will actually implement and make your bedroom look like this, and from that we'll take some commission. Now now this is just a beginning, and like fortunately, unfortunately, WhatsApp has still not figured out what's his business model. We are only 6 months into this journey. But there are many business cases which I skipped the slide here. If you can just flash the slide. Today, 84% of homeowners do not or cannot or don't want to go to an interior designer. If your budget is 30 lakhs and you are, I'm sure many of you are extremely well-to-do. Many of us can afford interior designers because our budget is like 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, or maybe people spend even crores in interior designing. I'm not talking about the house, just the interiors. Then you would afford and you would never come to Foyer.com or anything else. But 84% of the people don't even, because their budget is like 3 lakhs. How can you give 1 lakh rupees to a designer? So we are the answer to them. New furniture buyers who want to buy, and 98% of this happens locally, however much Amitava tries. This category, even the US has not moved beyond 3%, where the books and mobiles have all gone up to 8% or whatever. Furniture and curtains, and there are some categories, there is no way you can sell on tiles. How will you sell on Snapdeal? Chandeliers, heavy crystal chandeliers. How will you sell on Snapdeal, right? You can't. So the only choice you have for those 98% people who would love to buy from the city, from your trusted brands, is Foyer, right? That's the second thing. Vendors, tomorrow you walk into the store, they will carry our app and they will show you how this looks into your room when you walk into the store, rather than, and I can charge 5,000 rupees per, there are 6,87,000 vendors. If I get only 6,000 of them and I charge only 5,000 rupees from them per month, only I have a 72 crores worth of a business just from that. So there are multiple ways we can do it. So far, we have just made a vendor kind of a commission as a business model. We'll figure out if this not working well. The good part is we have an asset which not like a standard e-commerce which has, we have built some solid asset which we can sell as a, either a, in multiple ways. Yeah.
The user who uses your software.
It's free. It's totally free. Free to play, free to design. The templates are all done by topmost architects of India. So it's almost as if you hired a fees contractor for yourself and played with the system and paid nothing to adapt that template into your 10 by 10 feet room, because you can actually adapt to your size and you play with your system and things like that.
Yeah, how do you build traffic towards your site? I mean, how do you get more and more people coming there?
I would have built a lot of traffic had Amitabh not launched the Diwali Dhamaka and all of that. My Alexa rank dropped down by 2000 because of these Diwali sales and all of that. Building traffic is very difficult nowadays, given that we are very meagerly funded and billions of dollars are creating a lot of noise in the system. So the money is in the bank and all that, right? So smartly meaning you have to tie up. So we are going to announce tie-up with Ola Cabs. We are going to announce tie-up with, you can see all interior virtual model flats powered by Foyer. And therefore you will know about Foyer. When you discover things on our site, or if you don't discover, you happen to have a Ola Cabs, this thing with you, Ola will promote to all its users, hey, we have tied up with Foyer, discover local furniture in the city. So we'll build some traffic like that through Smartly, or over a period of time, if we survive, that is, it's things like that.
Thank you.
Yes, please. A very good answer. We paid a hell lot of money, first of all. It is not free. 4-letter words have a special significance. The shorter, the better. 4-letter word that means something or close to meaning something. Now, Foyer means a beautiful entrance lobby with an E. So you remove the E, because removing E is very geeky. If you look at Quicker, Topper, Rajul named Topper, you name Flickr, and you name so many Ers which have removed the E. So we just removed the E from Foyer and had to pay lakhs of rupees to just get that.
So does it, is it likely that people are misled by Foyer, saying that I don't have Foyer in the house at all? So I get, you know, a lot of people don't have Foyer.
Yeah.
In Indian.
Yeah.
So
I don't. I don't know if you are like too emotional about the fact that you don't have Foyer and therefore I will never come to Foyer. Apart from the 0.02% of people
I
like
will
those,
come. I will
rest
come
all
to
will not be
Foyer.
misled according to me.
Okay.
Yeah, but it could be a confusing. Some people in small towns have called it fire. So yeah, it could be, but we had to pick whether we go vernacular or we go a little bit urban. We thought we'll go urban because this is a global product. Though we happen to start in India, we think the product means much more to UK or Singapore or US or somewhere else rather